Okay, so today we are going to do the second scheduling algorithm that is called shortest job first. In short form, we say it SJF as well. Whenever we are doing the first CPU scheduling algorithm, that is FCFS, first come first serve. In that, you must have seen whatever was coming, whatever the processes were coming first, we were executing first. And because of that, if suppose that the first process is having burst time more, then what was happening? Average waiting time was increasing. So that was the shortcoming of the first come, first serve scheduling algorithm. So next is shortest job first. Next is shortest job first. Now in the shortest job first, we will have processes, burst time, and in SJF, as I had talked to you in last class, we have two types, non-primitive SJF and preemptive SJF. Preemptive SJF, non-preemptive SJF and preemptive SJF. So before we go non-preemptive SJF and preemptive SJF, we will be doing one simple numerical of SJF. With that, you will understand what exactly we do, and then I will be discussing these two. Okay. Now, in SJF, what exactly we do? We check the smallest burst time for the process, means shortest burst time, shortest execution time of any process, of the process which has been given in the queue, and whoever is having the shortest burst time will be executed first. So suppose that I have one numerical, but before that we will write what we do in SJF. I will write this point. In SJF, the process having the smallest execution time is chosen for the next execution. Is chosen for the next execution. Means whatever the processes you have, from there, whichever process will have less burst time will be executed first. Now one case might come, okay, what if two processes is having same burst time? What if two processes is having same burst time? So in that case, what will you do? You will be using FCFS scheduling to break that time. Okay, so this point also let's write. If the next burst or we can say next CPU burst of two processes are the same, then what will you use? We will be using FCFS scheduling to break that tie. What does it mean? It means if two processes is having exactly same burst time, in that case, whatever the process will come first will be executed first. So now let's do one simple numerical, and then we will go with SJF conditions and SJF conditions. In that, two things are there: preemptive and non-preemptive. Now this type, like shortest job first, and suppose that two processes are also same, so you are using FCFS. And if processes burst time are not same, then you will be using the shortest job first. So this could be also called, shortest next CPU burst algorithm. CPU burst algorithm. Okay, this can be also called shortest next CPU burst algorithm. Means whatever the shortest execution time will be taking that. So let's take one example. A simple SJF. You have processes. Suppose that you have 4 processes, and for that burst time is given. P1, P2, P3, P4. 6 millisecond, 8 millisecond, 7 millisecond, and 3 millisecond. So for the SJF, can you make the Gantt chart for this? It is easy. So Gantt chart for this is SJF Gantt chart. Which one you will be executing first?
P4.
P4. Why? Because P4 is having
Shortest time.
Shortest time, that is 3. So 0 to 3. Then next one we will be executing P1.
P1.
Yes. So it will go till 9 because P1 is having 6 burst time. So 6 plus 3, 9. Next one is what? P3. P3 is having 7. So 7 and 8. 7 is less. So we'll be using P3. So it will go till where? 9 plus 7. That is 16. And then last one you will be executing P2. So P2, and how much it is? 8 milliseconds. So 16 plus 8, 24. So now, what is the average waiting time here? Average waiting time is equal to, for P1, how much you are waiting? 3. P2, how much you are waiting? 16. P3, how much you are waiting? 9. And P4, how much you are waiting? 0. Divided by 4 equal to how much? 28 divided by 4 equal to 7 millisecond. 7 milliseconds. The average time is 7 milliseconds. Now, generally we say that SJF scheduling would be or probably optimal. But now one more condition comes in this. What if for each process arrival time is also given. What if for each process arrival time is also given? Here what arrival time we are considering for each process? 0. Then only you are saying that waiting time for P2 is 16, for P1 is P3 is 9, P1 is 3. It means arrival time of each process you are considering 0. What if arrival time is also given? So in that case, what will you do? So now let's do those two conditions. Which two? Non-primitive SJF and primitive SJF. So firstly, we will do non-primitive SJF. Non-primitive SJF. Non-primitive shortest job first. In this case, let's take one example. With that, we will be doing. Suppose that you have 5 processes here. So process Q, let's take. And then you have burst time. And what I told, arrival time is also given for each process. Arrival time is also given. Okay. For each process, arrival time is also given. So P1, P2, P3, P4, and P5. Suppose that 5 processes you have. For P1, burst time is 6. For P2, burst time is 2. For P3, burst time is 8. For P4, burst time is 3. And for P5, burst time is 4. Now, so if you don't have arrival time, then which process you will be executing first? Tell me.
P2.
Which one?
P2.
P2. But in this case, we have arrival time as well. So suppose that P1 arrival time is 2, P2 arrival time is 5, P3 arrival time is 1, P4 arrival time is 0, and P5 arrival time is 4. Now, when you start at time 0, when you start at time 0, when you start at time 0, so at time 0, how many processes are there in the queue, process queue?
One process, P4.
Only process P4. So no matter burst time of process P2 is 2, but can you execute at time 0? No, you cannot. Why? Because it is not available at that time. This process has not arrived at that time. So now understand this process. Non-primitive SJF scheduling, what we do, if CPU cycle is allocated to any process and then next process is coming with lesser burst time, then also you will not stop. Firstly, you will complete that process and then only you will be terminating that process. So this point I will be writing so that you should not be confused. But in primitive SJF, while you are executing, So whatever the remaining time of process 1 is, suppose that process 1 has arrived and you have started executing, and at the same time process 2 is coming after 1 millisecond, and process 2 is having lesser burst time than the remaining time of process 1, then you will immediately stop process 1 and you will start executing process 2. So that we will be discussing in the preemptive SJF. Let's do non-preemptive SJF first. In that, if you have allocated the process, you cannot stop. Okay. So if you have allocated the process, you cannot stop. So here we will write in non-preemptive SJF, once the CPU is allotted or allocated to the process, to any process, the process holds it, the process holds it till it reaches a waiting state, are terminated. Okay, means until unless the process is not completing or with some condition it's going to waiting state, till that process will hold that position. That's the cue. Now let's solve this example, then you will understand in more better way. So at time 0, should we make the Gantt chart for this directly? Let's make the Gantt chart. So what I told, once you have allocated the process, you will not stop. So at time 0, which process is there? P4 is there at time 0.
Yes, sir. P4.
So which one will be executed at time 0?
P4.
P4. So let's write here in Gantt chart P4. So now what I told, it will keep executing till it's not completing. Now see at time 1, which process is coming? P3 is coming at time 1, arrival time 1, P3 is also there. But have you finished P4? No. And P4 burst time is 3. So what is the remaining time? 2. And P3 is 8. So whether remaining time is there or not, we will not compare even. What will we do? We will finish P4 first. So you will go till 3 here and you will finish P4. Okay. So time 1, you got P3. Time 2, time equal to 2. Which process you are getting actually?
So P1.
Time 2 you are getting P1 as well. But have you finished P4 till here? No. So still you will not go. Time 3. Which process you are getting? Nothing. Nothing is coming at 3. So once you have finished this at time 3, so how many processes are there in the queue? These 2 processes are there in the queue.
Yes, sir.
Yes. Yes, sir.
So P3 is having how much burst time?
8 seconds.
8. And P1 is how much?
6 seconds.
So which one will be executed next?
So P1.
P1 will be executed next. So here what will you write? P1. Now P1 is having how much burst time? 6. So 6 plus 3 you will go till 9. Okay. So now time 4. So you have till 9. Time 4, which process is coming? P5. Still that P1 will continue. Time 5, which process is coming? P2. Still that process will be continued. So now you have arrived all the processes till P5. So what is the P5 execution time? 4. And P2 execution time? 2. So means the moment you are finishing P1 at 9, how many processes are there in the queue? When P1 is finished, so how many processes are there in the queue? P3,
P3,
P5,
P5, P2.
P2. In this order they have arrived. And what is the execution time? 8, 4, and 2. So once you have finished P1, now which one will be executed?
P2.
P2 will be executed because P2 is having shortest once you are comparing in all these three. So P2, once you are writing it here, it will go till where? Only 2 burst time is there, so it will go till 11.
Yes, sir.
Now next is only 2 are left, P5 and P3. Which one is shortest? P5.
P5, sir.
So next will be executed. P5, how much? It will go till 15.
Yes, sir.
11 plus 4. And then the last is P3 will be executed. How much time? 8. So 15 plus 8?
23.
23. So now you see P3 came at arrival time 1, but it is executing at last. Why? Because it is having highest burst time, largest burst time. Okay. Now, can we calculate the waiting time for P1, P2, P3, P4, and P5?
Yes, sir.
So what is the waiting time for P1? Tell me.
3 milliseconds.
Let's calculate waiting time for P1. Waiting time for P1. P1 waiting time is how much? When P1 has arrived? P1 has arrived. Is it visible?
Yes, sir.
P1 has arrived when? Arrival time 2.
Yes, sir.
And when it is being executed?
At time 3.
3. So what is the waiting time for P1 now?
3. 3 milliseconds.
Not 3. 3 you have started executing, but when it came?
In 2 milliseconds.
2. So waiting time is only 1 millisecond, no?
Yes, sir. I got it.
It's different from FCFS. Just understand this. Let's calculate waiting time for P2. So P2 when you are executing. P2 when you are executing. 9. P2 has started execution at 9 millisecond. And when P2 arrived?
At 5 milliseconds.
5. Hope everybody has made this. So now for P2, what will be the waiting time?
4 milliseconds.
4 millisecond. How? Because we have started execution at 9 millisecond and it arrived at 4 millisecond. Sorry, 5 millisecond. So total waiting time for P2 is 4 millisecond. What about P3? You have started execution at 15 millisecond or not?
Yes, sir.
Check the Gantt chart. And when it arrived?
In 1 millisecond.
1 millisecond, you can see it here. So 15 minus 1 is how much? 14 millisecond. What about P4? When P4 came? P4 came at 0 and you started at 0 as well. You started at 0. So waiting time for P4 will be 0 minus 0, that is 0 millisecond. What about P5? P5 when it arrived? 4 millisecond. And you are executing P5 at 11 millisecond. You started executing at 11. So what will be the waiting time for P5? 11 minus 4, that is 7 millisecond. Anybody is having any confusion on this? You can ask now if anybody is having any confusion. So average waiting time is equal to how much? 1 plus 4 plus 14 plus 0 plus 7 divided by 5 is equal to 26 by 5. That is equal to 5.2 millisecond. Any confusion in this, anybody? Tell me now. Can we go to next topic?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so next with same example, we will be doing preemptive SJF. With same example, we will be doing preemptive SJF, means second method. Preemptive SJF. So question is there with everyone? Question is there with everyone? This is the question for preemptive SJF. Same thing. Can you make the Gantt chart for this? So in this, what we do? Now this is the difference you should know in non-preemptive and preemptive. In preemptive SJF, if process is having shorter burst time, with having shorter burst time is arriving, then what will you do? And the current execution time of the process which is being executed, that is called not actually execution time, you can say remaining time of the current process which is being executed is more, you will stop that. Okay. So it is also called shortest remaining time first. Shortest remaining time first. Why we say shortest remaining time first? Because if current process is being executed and the remaining time of that process is more than the new arrived process, you will stop immediately and you will compare, and whatever the process is having shortest remaining time, you will be executing it first. Okay. So in this, we can write this point as well. If a process with even a shorter burst time, arrives, the current process is removed or preempted from the execution, and shorter job is allocated to CPU cycle. Okay. Now, with same question, let's make preemptive SJF Gantt chart. With the previous example, which we took it for the non-preemptive SJF, let's make this for the same question, the Gantt chart, and then we will calculate the average waiting time in this, and let's see whether for preemptive SJF average waiting time is reduced or not. Okay. So which process is arriving first? P4. P4 is arriving first at 0 arrival time.
Yes, sir.
So in the Gantt chart, we'll be executing P4. So P4 will be executed till where? What we made it here, you see, time 1, P3 is coming. So I'll be writing it here. Time 0, P4 is there. Time 1, P3 is coming. Time 2, P1 is coming. Time 3 is nothing. Now tell me when P4 is being executed, so P3 is arriving at time 1. So what is the P3 burst time? P3 burst time is 8, no? P3 burst time is 8. You can see P3 burst time is 8, and then after P3 P1 is coming. P1 burst time is 6. Okay. So P3 burst time is 8 and P1 burst time is 6. So you will be writing it here. Suppose that 8 and 6. So at time 1, how much millisecond is remaining for P4? 3 minus 1 will be 2, no? So 2, 8, 6. Which one is lesser? 2. So still P4 will go. At time 2, how much is remaining for P4? 1. So 1, 8, 6. Which one is lesser? 1. So P4 will go actually till 3. Okay. Time 3, nothing is there. Time 4, which one is arriving? So now at 3, which process will be executed? You have only 2 processes left at time 3, because time 3 nothing is coming.
P1 will be executed. 6.
So P1 will be executed since P1 is less. So P1 you execute. So time 4, which one is arriving? Time 4, which process is arriving? P5 is arriving. Time 4 P5 is arriving. And what is the burst time for P5? 4. So let's write it here. 4. So at time 4, how much is remaining from P1? Tell me. At time 4, how much is remaining for P1? P1 was how much? 6. Tell me, okay, I will write it here, then you will understand. Let's write P1 arrived at 3. Arrived P1 at 3 when you started. At 3 when you started P1. So at that time, how many were there? P1 and P3. So P1 was having 6 millisecond and P3 was having 8 millisecond. That's why you started P1, no? Now what is happening at time 4? Which process is arriving? P5 is arriving at time 4. And what is the burst time for P5? 4. And you have started. So now in your queue, once P5 has arrived, what is there in your queue? 3 things are there: P1, P3, and P4. Sorry, P5. Now, how much time is there at time 4? P1 is remaining. So you started at time 3 P1. You started at time 3 or not? I need response.
Yes, sir.
So you started 3. So when P4, sorry, at time 4, P5 is coming. So P1 is executed how millisecond?
So 1 second, 5 seconds left.
Only 1 millisecond. So how much is remaining for P1 now?
5 milliseconds.
5 millisecond. And P3, 8 millisecond. And P5, 4 millisecond. Which one is the shortest?
Sir, P1 itself.
P5.
P5.
P5 is shortest. So that's why we say shortest remaining time. Shortest remaining time. So what will happen with P1, which you started execution? P1 will stop here. P1 will stop here at time 4. And which one will be executing now?
P5, sir.
So what you did? Firstly, you executed P4, 0 to 3. Then P1 you executed only 1 millisecond. And then you started P5. Now at time 5, which one is executing coming? Process P2 is coming at time 5.
Yes, sir.
Process P2 is coming. So when P2 is coming, what is the burst time of P2? Two millisecond.
Yes, sir.
So 2 millisecond. So now means immediately at time 5. Now at time 5, let's calculate the shortest remaining time first. So how many are there in the queue now? P1, P3, P5 and P2. How much was remaining for P1? 5 milliseconds. For P3, how much was remaining? 8 milliseconds. For P5, how much is remaining at time 5? Tell me. It was 4, no? Burst time of P5 was how much?
4.
4.
4. And you started at time 4 and now you are calculating at time 5. So how much will be remaining at time 5 for P5?
3 milliseconds.
3.
3. And now for P2 is how much?
2 milliseconds.
2 milliseconds. So at time 5, nearly all the, not nearly all the processes has arrived or not at time 5. So we have every process here. Now what is the shortest remaining time here at time 5? P2. So which one will be executed here?
P2.
P2. Now no new processes is coming, so then you will start checking shortest. So P2, how much time? 2. So it will go till 7. So this is done. Then in these three, which one is less?
P5.
P5. Then P5 will go and execute. So 3 milliseconds. So it will become 10. Then next, in these two, which one is less? P1. We will go till 15. And then finally, P3 will go with 8 milliseconds. So 15 plus 8, 23. So see, in non-primitive as well, you were finishing at 23 or not? And in primitive as well, you are finishing at 23. But let's calculate the waiting time. Can anyone tell me the waiting time for P1? Waiting time for P1. When P1 arrived at 2 milliseconds, and first we are executing at 3 milliseconds. So actually 3 minus 2. 3 minus 2. Are you understanding why I'm writing 3 minus 2?
Yes, sir.
Now, but P1 is here as well, if you will see. So P1 is stopped here 3 and P1 arrived at 2. So 3 minus 2 we did. Now P1 executed 1 millisecond, then it stopped. Then again it has gone in waiting queue or not?
Yes, sir.
So when next it is starting? 10. So it stopped execution P1 at 4 and it went again in the execution 10. So what will you write? 10 minus 4. So equal to 1 plus 6 equal to 7 millisecond is the waiting time for P1. Any confusion, anybody? You understood how will we calculate the waiting time?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Let's do for P2. So P2 arrived when? Time 5. And you started execution at time 5. So that is 0 millisecond. For P3, when it arrived at 1. And when you have started execution? Directly at 15, no? Nowhere here P3, directly 15. So 15 minus 1. That is 16 millisecond. For P4, how many places we have executed? At 0 only.
Sir, P3 is not 14.
16, no? Sorry, 14. Yes, 14 millisecond. 15 minus 1, that is 14 millisecond. What is P4 execution time? It arrived at 0 and you started at 0. So it is 0 millisecond. What about P5? P5. P5 arrived at 4. P5 arrived at 4. And you started at 4. So that is firstly 4 minus 4 plus, because after 1 millisecond you stopped, means at 5, and again you have started at 7, isn't it? So 2 millisecond here also it's waited. So what will you write? 7 minus 5. So equal to 0 plus 2 equal to 2 millisecond. Now tell me what is the average waiting time? So average waiting time is 7 plus 0 plus 14 plus 0 plus 2 divided by 5 is how much?
4.6.
4.6. 23 by 5 equal to 4.6 millisecond. Now tell me, for same question, same number of processes, the average waiting time in non-primitive SJF was 5.2 millisecond. And for same question with primitive SJF, we have 4.6 milliseconds. So this is the advantage of SJF. So hope everybody understood this question. Any confusion in SJF now? Okay, no. So we will be doing some more numerical in the next class.
Yes,
Thank you, sir,
today.
today.
We must attend the other class.
Yes.